Well, hello and welcome to another version of Ask Me Anything. My name is Mary Yusevich and I'm the host of Ask Me Anything. And I am so happy to have our guest today, who is from Pipermatic, Sabrina Ettinger. But before we get into that, I'd like to just do a few announcements on things that are coming up at NEWIEE. So first, I really want to thank our sponsors, because if we don't have our sponsors, we don't have programs. And we want to give a big shout out to Eversource, First Light, Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, National Grid, Robinson Coal, Synapse. Thank you, sponsors. These are our annual event sponsors, and with them, we're able to bring you the Ask Me Anything. Ask Me Anything is a virtual webinar that we do every second Tuesday throughout the year. And it's basically an opportunity for us to have a conversation with women leaders in our energy community. We have since the start of the pandemic. So for 2 years, we've been having guests come on, talk about things, and it gives you an opportunity as the participants to ask questions directly of these women in these leadership roles. So what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about how you can ask a question. So down on the bottom of your screen, you see where it says Q&A. In the beginning of the pandemic, we had to do a lot of explaining, but I think everyone has this now. But we do ask people to please put your questions and answers in the Q&A, not in the chat, and I will be taking the questions from there. So basically, I'd like to talk about 2 other events before we bring our guest in. One is Revolutionary Power Fellows. This is an opportunity for you to basically apply for an incredible selection of a team of research working on projects. You have until Tuesday, March 15th, to put in your applications for this scholar. And it is an incredible opportunity. This is our second time doing it. I can only ask you to please go on the NEWIEE website or to the AABE website and learn more about this, because it is an excellent opportunity and the deadline is coming very quickly. You only have until next Tuesday to apply. And then finally, the next event I want to talk about is our wonderful Save the Date. This is coming back, folks. 2 years we've had to cancel our gala. And this year it's going to be in person in Boston on April 28th at the Westin Copley. We have Ellen Katz from FERC, who's just heading up the big public participation, a new department within FERC. Excellent opportunity for learning what FERC is going to be doing with this, and learn more about how public participation is going to become a key part of the FERC. And then we have some 4 outstanding, incredible women that are going to be receiving one of our very sought after NEWIEE Gala Awards. Huge amount of people submitted applications. We have Meg Lusari from Power Options. And then we have Kirsten Field, we're a rising star. And we have our commissioner, Marissa Gillette from Connecticut. And then Rachel Kite as our leadership role. So I really strongly encourage you to definitely either sponsor, convince your company to sponsor so you can get a table and get all the people from your organization, and also mark it in your calendar so you don't accidentally schedule something that night on April 28th from 6 to 9. Always, usually 500 plus women. Sabrina, I'm going to get you up here from New York. So I'd like to bring my guest for today on Ask Me Anything, Sabrina Ettinger from Pipermatics. Sabrina, how are you today?
Well, I think if you would have asked me on Monday, I would have said great, because it's 70 degrees, but we are in a blizzard right here in New York. So I'm great. It could be better weather though.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, because we went through 2 years of a pandemic, very disruptive to the workplace, to people's careers, and Pipermatics. They are, do you like the word headhunter, or do you guys don't care for that word?
I don't mind it. I think it's a bit of an antiquated term, but it is like what we do. We go out and look for passive candidates. I use recruiter, I think is a more trendy term for it. Headhunter, I think gets a lot of people like, what do you do for a living? But yeah, recruiter probably.
And I think that that's a good point because recruiter is really important because it's more than just dealing with getting people matched up for jobs. Your job is so much broader from that. So Pipermatic recruiter, why is Pipermatic so special? Why, and because I think they are, because they've done something very unique in the market. So you just don't, you're not a recruiter for anybody who sends in a resume.
No. So Pipermatics recruits specifically within the renewable and clean tech space, which was my appeal to work for Pipermatics, of course, but I head up the energy storage and hydrogen team here. So all of the clients and all of the candidates that I work with are specifically within that space, which not only allows me to work in a really cool up and coming, industry, but it really makes me a market expert instead of just doing a bunch of different types of roles, working with a bunch of different clients. I've really focused myself on energy storage and hydrogen so that I'm essentially a market expert. We, really pride ourselves on not just being resume pushers. We've worked with each other before, that I actually care about the people that I work with and about the industry. And with the industry just being what it is today, it's definitely a great business model that we have, being able to kind of focus ourselves on one specific area.
And let's expand that, because if I'm not in the hydrogen or energy storage, you have a whole team of people that are all in this clean energy space.
Yes.
And one of the things I love about Pipermatics is if someone comes from this call and reaches out to you, but that's not your area, you guys work so well down there that it's not like, oh no, this is my candidate and all. So can you give a little explanation of that? So anybody who's on the call today, that they understand that, you really open up a door because you have a whole slew of people behind that door.
Yeah. So we recruit in all areas of renewable and clean tech. So we have energy storage, hydrogen, grid edge, e-mobility. We now have a sustainability group, wind and solar. So I have a lot of candidates that will reach out to me in e-mobility, and I might have roles for them because, you need a battery. And so it makes sense for me to work with them. But I also know that my group in New York, or we have offices in Austin and LA, we're very collaborative as a group. So if I have a great candidate, they get sent around in our internal database. We have the best, if not the biggest, built out database of candidates and clients in the industry. Pipermatics started actually in energy storage. So our candidates come from referrals. Some of the best candidates aren't on LinkedIn, they're on our database. So we not only have, a wide network of people at our disposal, but a lot of the best candidates come from referrals. Good people know good people. So I think in terms of the network that we have surrounding us, it's really large.
And I don't have to move to New York. You service, you mentioned the 3 offices, but you service the entire United States. So if I'm interested in staying in New England, I can reach out to you. And I thought it was really interesting to have you on because we are the NEWIEE group. We're environmental energy. So the environment is a big part of who we are at NEWIEE. And I think it's incredible that you really focus in on. So if I wanted a job, say fracking industry in the gas, would you say, oh yes, I can land you?
No.
So
no.
it is just the clean energy space. So that's
Yes.
important. The green economy.
So we really talk the talk and walk the walk. We don't support oil and gas clients. We want to be clean and sustainable and really focus on the exciting technologies that are within the space. And we really do care about changing lives and saving the planet, is what we say. As recruiters, when you want to go to a new job, it's stressful, but if you're looking for a new job, we want to be able to change your life also while saving the planet, working in renewables. And we cover all of North America. So we even have clients and candidates in Canada. as well as internationally. So we have offices in the UK and Europe as well.
Excellent. So we have a question came in about, I'm a minority candidate and I don't want to be a token candidate. I really want to be hired for my skill sets, which are excellent, that I have that. How do you avoid becoming a token hire? Because you and I have talked about how critical diversity is.
Yeah, so a whole book could probably be written on this topic. Obviously, as a female recruiter, I'm very passionate about, diversity and inclusion. And the way I think about it is, it's interesting that, female participation in the energy sector is, a lot of women are, big into, understanding what, oh, sorry, I lost what I was going to say. I think that women have a very big impact in, our climate and energy in our households, but we only make up about 4% of senior women in energy boards and climate boards. And that's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, and that's
It
crazy
is
to me.
crazy.
And so I think these are the same trends that need to change. And I think that as a recruiter, it's my job to put forth a diverse batch of profiles. Obviously, it's up to my client of who they hire, and we work very closely with our clients to understand we want to get them the best person. And, I think that everyone on this call probably knows the statistic of men apply to jobs when they only meet 60% of the qualifications, and women apply when they meet 100% of the qualifications. And so it's a less issue for me as a recruiter because I do a lot of the headhunting. So if you tell me the right motivations and you have the right skill set, even if you look at a job description and think, I don't think I'm exactly right for it, I've spoken to my client and I know that you'd be a great fit. And so I think that we do have some clients and they're like, I only want to see women resumes. That's not good either. I think that's also taking us a step back. You want to see the best candidates, and it's my job to get you those candidates. And that's why my network is filled with a very big, diverse group of people. And we have some clients that, they want that, it's a lot of men and they're like, we just want a woman on the team. You're not going to appeal to any woman by saying that. So you have to have a plan, and you need to not just talk the talk. You need to walk the walk too. Yeah.
So if I'm a woman and I decide that I would like to explore just to see what's out there, what are the opportunities? Can I just reach out to you like at the very beginning of the stages? Like, I really don't know what the jobs are. I don't know what my skills would match up. Can we have a conversation, or do I have to like come to you and say, oh, I saw a job advertised on Pipermatic and, or I was on LinkedIn and saw it. Which way do you prefer, and how would you prefer? What's the best road if I'm just listening in today and I have an interest in just exploring?
I think both are great. Obviously, if you see a role that Pipermatics posts, normally the job poster's information is on there. If not, I'm definitely able to point you in the right direction. But I never turn down networking calls. I speak to 5-10 candidates a week that I know I don't have a job for them right now. But if they tell me, a little bit more about what they're looking for, what they're going to bring to the table, I know with the clients that I work with, I might have a good company fit for them, and I'm able to reach out even if there's no specific role. A lot of the times we have clients, they don't post their jobs on LinkedIn, so you'll never know. And then on that, a lot of clients will post job adverts and they won't look at the applicants. So I think networking with recruiters, even if you just want to know what the hiring trends are in the space, what different companies look for in candidates, I think it never hurts. I'm obviously biased being a recruiter, but it never hurts to have that initial conversation because I've placed candidates at jobs when I spoke to them probably 3 years ago. I had nothing for them in 2019, didn't have anything for them in 2020, but 2021, I knew what the candidate would like, what their skill set was, and I was able to find them the right opportunity.
So I've heard some people say, I don't want to use a recruiter because they're going to call me, they're going to bug me, they're going to be hounding me, they're going to be like, take this job, go. And I really like my job. So can you give us a little bit more about your style and basically, you know, how it works? Because those are the downsides that people talk about. So can we, like, let's just discuss that here. You know, how could it work differently?
So I think in terms of Pipermatics, we're very quality oriented. So none of us at Pipermatics are going to be those pushy recruiters that call you, force you to take jobs. I think one of the reasons I joined here was everyone was very nice. And I could tell that even when I was interviewing here, no one was pushing me to accept the opportunity. And that's how I am. I know that when you're looking for a new job, I did another recruitment before I joined Pipermatics, and it's a stressful and lonely time that you want someone that you're able to talk about your, you know, hesitations, ask all the questions that you might not want to ask the hiring manager, and just really be there for you and kind of be a soundboard, because it's a stressful time. Like, you're going to leave a job that you might really love, but there's no more opportunity for you there. So having a pushy recruiter is just going to aid to stress, and you're going to hate all recruiters then. I've worked with pushy recruiters and they make me not want to accept any jobs that they even want to throw my way.
So let's talk about the world now in terms of energy. Is it a hot market? Is it a cold market? You know, and is it like the first question that was asked? I mean, how do we make sure that it's a diverse market? It's usually considered a very traditional male market. It's the reason why we started NEWIEE actually 13 years ago, you know.
Yeah, so women are only 20% of the energy sector's labor force overall. And I think that is dreadful. I think that women are nearly half the US workforce and only 27% of the STEM workforce. So I think we need to start young to get more, you know, women excited about STEM and make it more gender diversified. But I also think that, and something that I've seen recently was job descriptions. If you look at some job descriptions, they'll have he on the job description, like he will report to this person. And that is going to turn any woman off. And I think that men sometimes don't see that as an issue because they don't think it matters. But I think that, yeah, to get more women in, we really need to understand what it means to hire diverse candidates. And I think something that, as a recruiter, if I'm not putting diverse candidates in front of my clients, I'm doing a bad job. And I've been very fortunate to have worked with some, you know, amazing, futuristic and innovative clients. But being a female, I have less than a decade of experience. I myself also notice, you know, some guys might not take me as seriously when I'm telling them why they should hire certain candidates. So we, as a business, have really high diversity and inclusion ratios. And I was going through my placements over the past 3 years, and 40% of all of the lovely candidates I've placed into new jobs have been women. So I was really happy with that. Obviously, I want it to be higher, but 40%, not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
It isn't too bad at all. So what are the things, if I'm a woman, I want to get into the energy, I'm kind of stuck because there is that kind of where we're in jobs, even though it's only 20%, we're not in the decision making. So positions. So I'd like you to address a little bit more like what can I do to work to build up on my skills? What kind of pointers can you give, you know, to make it so that I can go out and set a path for my career? And so if you could give some advice, what advice would you give someone who's just starting out in the market?
So I think someone that's just starting out in the market, if they're coming from like oil and gas and they want to be in clean energy, it's a lot of who, what, where, when, and why in a different order. So I think that first you need to find out where in the industry you're going to be needed. We're all out of school now for the most part, but you got to do homework. You have to understand and familiarize yourself with the industry and do research. I think a good thing to do is set up Google alerts and LinkedIn alerts to see what companies are hiring and what types of positions. So even like energy storage and hiring or recruitment and solar are good things to think about. And then kind of have some self-reflection on what are you going to bring to the table? once you've done your research, it's a bit of an easier step and you know how you can add value. And then getting in front of who you need to. It's easy, but hard. I think using a recruiter is the best way for multiple reasons. I'm here to help you find the right fit based off of your motivations and experience. If you don't want to use recruiters, that's fine. I would say don't be afraid to reach out to a CEO of a business you think would be great to work at, or a head of engineering or head of business development, even peer level people, and just make the connection and see who best to reach out to. We're all humans and no one's going to get annoyed at you for wanting to network with people. And then I think being clear on your why do you want to get into renewable energy? I think that obviously, you want to stop climate change is great, but that's not a good why, and that's not going to land you a role. It kind of goes back to doing your research and knowing what you can bring to the table. Like a business development role, for example, you might be a business development director at a big oil and gas company, and you know that XYZ company will benefit from the contacts you have in the energy storage, or hydrogen is really relevant for people in the oil and gas space. So that's your why. And then knowing how to sell yourself is something that I think people are a little intimidated to do. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you to read self-help books on how to sell yourself. However, if you aren't sure and don't know where to begin, I read a really good book, You Incorporated, by Harry Beckwith in my old recruitment job. And there are things I don't listen to, but there's a lot of good reasonings on, be yourself, build rapport. No one wants to sit next to and talk to someone that isn't interesting and friendly. And it never hurts to be nice. I've definitely learned that.
Oh, absolutely. And the book again is called what?
You Incorporated.
You Incorporated.
Yeah, how to sell yourself.
So this is really interesting now. So I do that. I have a great interview and I get a job offer because this is a hot market.
Yes.
Do you find that women sometimes tend to sell themselves short? Like they just, if someone says, oh, the job pays 150, they're like, okay. I mean, how can a woman really take advantage of the fact of negotiation? Do you find men negotiate different than women? I guess let's start with that.
I would say so. I think usually my tougher negotiations are with men because they fight for every last dollar that they can get in an offer. Women, and even myself back in the day, if a company would be like, we want to offer you this, and I'm like, yay, okay, but I know I could have gotten more. And don't be afraid. And I think that that's why using a recruiter is so good, because I know it could probably be really uncomfortable for potential candidates to negotiate salary with their future boss. That's not kind of the best foot forward, and it might be uncomfortable. So that's what I'm here. I'm here to negotiate salary on your behalf. And I think that women, I do see it every day that I speak to women candidates, still severely underpaid to their male counterpart. And it's wild. It's 2022. What are we doing? So if I know, and I'll even tell candidates, if a budget is, 150, they want 100. I'm like, with your skill set, I know I can get you 150. So don't be afraid to ask for it. The worst they can do is give you a low offer. If you are happy with it, great. But yeah, never be afraid to ask for more.
Okay, so that's important then, because that is another reason why to have someone like you in there, because I can just feel comfortable to say you, and then you go in and do the fighting.
Yeah.
Common mistakes that women make, especially when they're in the middle of negotiations or even in the interview. Do you see some more just for, because most of the people on this call are women, what are some of the mistakes that you see that women make that you say, oh, I wish I could tell the women that are out there recruiting for particular positions, don't do this, don't do that, or do this, don't do that?
I think that women they never really want to brag about themselves. And it's not like we're bragging about how great we are, we're better than everybody else, but men have such an easier time selling themselves about things that they've done. And I notice a lot, and this is with male and female candidates in interviews, it'll be a lot of we talk, like at my company, we did this. No, I want to know what you did. So using those like and I've done this is really helpful. And this goes for male and women candidates as well, but be excited and interview the client as well. If they obviously want to know that you can do the job, but they want to know that you want to do the job. So be excited. It's not, you're not going to be too eager. That's not, I know it might be a misconception. I don't want to come across that I'm eager and desperate. Be excited and that'll go a long way.
But then isn't it true now with this type of market too, that there's multiple offers that people are giving? So what are you doing to get the companies to waking up to the fact is that this is a hot market and you can't string candidates along or, make them go through 25,000 interviews. Can you give us a little on the inside of that world? Because we're not exposed to that. That's your world.
Yeah, it's a great world to be in. I have to coach my clients all the time on no more than 3 interview stages. These candidates that I'm working with are getting anywhere from 3 to 5 very, very competitive offers at the same time. And I have to, and it's my job to sell candidates on the opportunity, but it's also the client's job to sell these candidates on the opportunities. And so if they're putting people through the ringer of interview, technical interview, presentation, a candidate is going to drop out of the process. Once the interview stages go past 3 stages, candidates lose interest. We always say in recruitment, time kills all deals. The longer an interview process is drawn out, the less likely the candidate will accept. And even so, like, we will have candidates, take job offers at really small, not well-known startups over big companies like Tesla and big companies like that, because the interview process they felt wanted and they felt like they were special. And that's what I have to tell my clients to do. Like, you are one of 3 choices for my candidate, but I know that you really need someone. So you need to put in work and yes, interview them, make sure they can do the technical job, but tell them, what a life-changing event your company is going to do for them. And I think benefits, are their benefits enticing? I work with a lot of clients and we have to tell them their benefits need a bit of work. Flexible hours, very important. We went through a pandemic where everyone is working from home. People now want to work from home. I don't, I love being in an office, but people want to work from home. And, you might have the best technology in the market, but if you make a candidate go into the office 5 days a week, no, you won't get the best people. Remote working, maternity and paternity leave, I think is very important to have both. We work with a number of businesses that are still building their benefits platform. So we're able to help them kind of tell them what other people in the market are doing. Is unlimited PTO real? Is it a scam? That's up to you guys to decide. But I think we just need a more flexible working environment. People don't want to do, 80 hours a week in the office. That doesn't appeal to anyone anymore.
Well, that's an interesting point, and I'm glad to hear that you're getting companies to recognize that people don't have to coexist where the company is to do their job, that it can be remote. Is the trend going to be, though, back to doing a lot of traveling? Like, is travel coming back where they're saying you have to do 60 to 50 to 40% travel? Or is that, do you see that trend where travel is not going to become such a requirement, and that what we're doing right now today is through the Zoom world, is that going to be the trend?
I think I see a 50-50 split. I think that there are some businesses that still want their clients, especially in, development type roles, to go out and see potential, customers. But then we have a lot of businesses that have done it over Zoom for 2 years and they're fine with doing it over Zoom. Some of our clients are very, travel is what you want. If you want to go see a potential client, go for it. If not, we're all on Zoom. I think that if people have had easier times going into an office, I know for me, I lived in a studio during COVID with my dog and my window faced someone else's window. So I didn't want to work from home. I wanted to be in the office. And I think there are still lots of people like that, if that is what a company wants. But I think to attract the best talent, there needs to be flexibility. Travel is, I feel like 1 month travel is up. Another month, probably another variant comes out and travel is down. So I think it's still a roller coaster, but eventually probably 30 to 50% travel as opposed to 70 to 100% travel.
Now, you're young, and we have a lot of women that are on the call today that are also NEWIEE young professionals. How do I get to be serious, be thought serious about my abilities and taken serious? And how do I get, advancement? It's the only way you can get advancement is to threaten to call up Sabrina at Piper Maddox and get another job? Or is there some things you can give people to an understanding? And in thinking of that, is that old rule that you have to work in a place for 2 years. If you leave a job before 2 years, you look like you're not serious. Those are kind of the questions I would love to have you answer for some of the young professionals.
Yeah, I think that, and in my last job, I was very unhappy, but I was afraid to say anything. Don't be afraid to go to HR. Don't be afraid to go to your manager if maybe you're uncomfortable in a working environment. You feel like you could do more, but they're picking other people for more opportunities. Don't be afraid to, be that I'm complaining. It's not complaining. Like, this is your work is the majority part of your life. And that's just how it is. We work a lot of hours. And so if you're not happy, speak up, because things won't change if you don't speak up. No one's a mind reader. Your boss doesn't know if you're unhappy unless you say it, but being able to say it in a constructive way, as opposed to just complaining about something to complain about it. So really, if you're frustrated about anything in your current working environment, speak up in a constructive way. And then if things don't change, that's when you call me. And I want to know. And I think that I've spoken to a lot of different people who were upset about, I wasn't getting a promotion and someone else got a promotion, or I feel like they don't value me as an employee. Even if you just want to see what else is out there, a passive candidate is great, because it's good for you to either realize, actually, it's not too bad where I am, or it's horrible where I am. Please help me find something else.
So rule of thumb, though, like, it is bad. I want to move on, but I've only been at the place for a year. Do I stick it out? Do I have to do like the 2 year so I don't look like she's all over the
Job
place?
hoppy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that if you have good reasons for wanting to leave an opportunity, it's fine. I think that that's another reason why working with a recruiter is so good, because a hiring manager, I'll send a hiring manager profile and they'll have maybe a 1.5 years experience, a 1 year and 11 months experience, 3 years experience. They want to know why. And that's not something that you put in your resume. Like, I left my job because of this, but I'm able to explain that to a hiring manager. And I think in this industry, because it's so new, because there's lots of mergers with other business, a lot of startups not succeeding, it's easier to have less tenure at one opportunity. But I'm able to, tell the hiring manager, well, they had to go in the office every day. That wasn't for them. Or, the company went under, or they were bought out by another company. They did reorganizations. They didn't want to wait to see if they would get laid off, so they left. And I think that I do still work with a lot of hiring managers that want people at companies, 5, 6 years, another 7, 8 years. And that's just not really the recruitment landscape anymore. I think that's definitely a bit antiquated. And, if you want to leave because of, your mental health, you had the worst boss in the world, you should be happy, as long as you, didn't leave because you got fired because you were really bad at your job.
Okay. Well, let's go on the other end of the spectrum, which is more my end. I've been in the industry is it like opportunities for us, or is it a young person's market and we're just like, nope, sorry, I don't want someone that old working for me?
No, I think it's everyone's market right now. I think that's what's great about this. Obviously, when COVID started, I was like, who is going to pay a recruiting company to find people when everyone is getting laid off? The renewable energy industry is just advancing so much that experienced people are needed at these newer companies that, they just started, they have 5 employees, they're all young, but they want someone that's been in the industry for a long time. Or, on the other side, the bigger companies, they're like, yeah, we want some young people that are going to work. And it really just depends. But I think that there's space for everybody that wants to be in the renewable sector at the moment, which is great. I think that it's the best candidate market to be in right now. Candidates can get, 5 offers at one time, and it's happy days for them. And it could be, a fresh grad or someone that has 30, 40 years experience.
Well, Sabrina, we have a question here that's, I think you're going to find very interesting. I did not write it, but the person asked, do you have any tips for gracefully declining a job offer without burning bridges? And the reason we're laughing, Sabrina and I, is that Sabrina did reach out to me and make a job offer, and I did decline it, but we became great friends, and she's been wonderful, especially working with NEWIEE on our young professionals and everything. So do you have any tippers on how to do that without burning the bridges with a potential employer? Because you might one day want to take a job with that company. You don't want to, for whatever reason, it's not the right time right now.
Yeah, I think that there are so many ways to not burn bridges. If you want to burn bridges, that's what you ghost people. And that's what people do to me all the time. They'll have their final interview. I'll go to give them an offer and they don't text me back. They don't answer my phone calls. We're not going to want to work with you again in the future. So just don't do that. I think that at every stage, and we've worked together, Mary, I want to know how you're feeling. I want to know how the interview went. I want to know if you have any hesitations. And as long as it's transparent communication, at the end of it, if you do decline, it's fine. And I'm not upset about it, because throughout the process, we had open and honest kind of communication. And I don't feel like I wasted my time. I have a lot of candidates, and we try to identify the red flags. I feel like I'm in a dating process with my candidates, try to understand if I want to get married or not. But if I think that they are just window shopping or getting an offer because they want to tell their boss that they got an offer, that's another way to burn bridges. I think that's a waste of your time. I think that's a waste of my time and the company's time. And they're going to remember that. And the renewable energy industry is a very small one. Everyone knows everyone. And so if you do one thing bad to one company, I'm sure another company that you might be interested in the future would have heard about it. So I think that as long as throughout the process, you're transparent about things, no one's really going to get mad at you. Switching jobs is very stressful. You're doing something completely new and it's a bit scary. And I'm here to help. If you're honest with me, I'm not going to be upset if you end up not taking the job that I'm giving you. Obviously, it hurts and I'm upset, but you move on and you want what's best for that person.
And you can end up with a great friendship. So there you go.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
But the question is, does the company, when you tell them, how do they take it?
Sometimes, some clients think it's our fault that we did something wrong. I think that we have really strong relationships with a lot of our clients. So you guys are open and transparent with us as candidates, and we're open and transparent with them as clients. They're understanding as well. I think that a lot of people put clients and hiring managers on a pedestal. We're equal. We're all human. They understand that things happen. And so as long as, you didn't tell them throughout the whole process, you were going to accept the offer that they were giving you, and then they give you the offer and you don't speak to them, they get it. It happens. It happens more often than you think. And it's not the end of the world as long as you were kind of respectful and honest about your reasonings. Never ghost a recruiter or hiring manager. I just think that's so rude.
That is rude. And rude. I just want to tell people who are listening, if you're having trouble putting questions in the Q&A, please just put them in the chat. We'll still be able to answer from there. The companies that are hot right now, can you give us some idea of the people that are out there that are growing, they're expanding, they're really the companies that are looking for, they're really building up a team?
Mm-hmm. I would say that all of our clients, and this is like a fake answer, but then I'll elaborate. All of our clients are growing, which is great. I would say that a lot of our hires are coming into like the development shops, people developing these big multi-megawatt hour projects, renewable energy developers. Startups are hiring left and right. I think that anytime I go to do business development, I think I found all the energy storage and hydrogen companies, and then there's a new one the next day. Finding these really cool technologies. And we work with a lot of clients on the energy storage side that are doing crazy things with gravity energy storage. Hydrogen is just really coming back to where we want it to be. Mary, we speak a lot about hydrogen on the phone, and it's where we want it to be right now, which is great. And I think that no company is slowing down their hiring right now. There's new technology every day, and there's new, gigawatt projects being developed every month, I feel like. So,
And is there traditional companies that are hiring, like the established companies? I know you mentioned there's a lot of startups, but startups aren't for everybody. So is there even the traditional energy companies looking as well?
yeah, so we work a lot with big utilities and big, publicly owned businesses. A lot of companies, even like Amazon, they're hiring people in renewable energy now. And we work with Enel, which is a big renewable energy developer, and they're multinational, headquartered in Europe, 300 plus employees. They're hiring exclusively through Pipermatics, which is great. And just really big, well-named businesses. And so, part of our job is to find exciting clients to work with. Sometimes, the bigger businesses, they have full recruiting teams. So you might think that they don't need recruiters, but you would be surprised as to the big EDFs of the world. They still need recruiters that specialize specifically within that space to understand the market. The bigger shop, even if they have 20 recruiters, they still need our specialized knowledge to help them grow out their team.
So I have a CV. I don't know if it's well written. I don't know anything. I'm kind of like scared. I don't want to call you because I know you're going to say, send me your resume. And I'm going to be like, I don't know. I just wrote it. I read an article. I read a thing online. I did a form online. Is that some place where you would be able to help the candidate? I mean, because I think that's the thing that people have the most fear is like, I don't have what Sabrina's looking for. And she's going to ask me for a CV and I'm embarrassed because it's not well written.
Yeah. I look at really great CVs every day. I look at really bad CVs every day. And I want you to get a job. So I want to work with you and make it better. I think that a lot of times people think making a resume pretty with different photos and graphics is going to grab attention. It doesn't really in this industry. And the one-page resume is a lie. It could be more than one page. I think that we learned that in college. Yeah, I learned that in college. And obviously, when I was graduating college, it didn't need to be more than one page. So that's the rule of thumb for people leaving college, unless they have internship experiences. I think it's important to put what you've done. But I'll have adults with 30, 40 years of experience try to fit it all in one page. Like this could easily be like 2 pages, and it's fine that it is. No one is going to reject you because you have more than one page of a resume. But if a candidate sends me a horrible resume, I'll just give them a call, super nice, and tell them things that I think would add to help better. I usually have like a template for Pipermatics, and I'll share it, be like, this is what it should look like. Maybe that'll help you, because no one really teaches you how to write a resume unless you go to a resume writing class and pay for it or research it yourself. So I look at resumes all day. I'm definitely able to help out. I have, CEOs even asked me if I could look at their resume. He's like, I don't think it's good. And I was like, it's not good. And I helped fix it. Because it's what I'm here for. I just want to be able to help someone find that right opportunity, even if it's not the opportunity I'm presenting to them.
So we had one time another caller on who was a CEO, and she did a lot of talking about if you're at a certain point in your career where you're more towards the end, there's opportunities to join boards and be more involved in that way. Does Pipermatics also help people do placement on boards? Do you ever get those kind of requests?
I have never done it. I think that there have been a few consultants that have done it just based off of they had a client of theirs who had an open spot on the board. And I think it's really just the networking aspect of things. I've networked a lot with different board members just to understand, what it is that they want to see on their board. I think 3 and 4% of women only on boards is really upsetting. So I think maybe if they wanted to use recruiters to help kind of bridge that gap, that would be great. I haven't. I know Pipermatics has on a few occasions.
Okay, because it is interesting. It would be great maybe if there's a way we can, find it. But we have some more questions coming in here. Are you seeing stances on salary transparency start to shift? I know I've interviewed for positions that don't disclose the salary range. And then generally those often ask me, what is, the salary expectation? And then of course, I'm sometimes like, I don't know what to say and the expectations are unclear on both sides. So can you go a little bit about the compensation stuff, how that works, that dance basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's an uncomfortable dance for anyone, and I get it. I think that when you use a recruiter, so honestly, it's in my best interest to get you as much money as I can on the salary, because that's how we get paid at the end of the day. But I have oftentimes, a candidate would tell me a crazy salary expectation, and I just want to know what made them think about that. And they're like, well, that's what I think I deserve to be paid. And that's fine and that's fair, but don't price yourself out of opportunities either. When a recruiter asks you, what you're looking, be transparent, be honest, and I'll tell you if I think that you can be making more. When internal recruiters ask you, definitely ask them the range. They know that they have a range, and if they're kind of unwilling to share it, maybe a red flag, and maybe they just want to see, how much could I profit from hiring you if you're well below banding. So I think kind of thinking about it two ways. If you work with an external recruiter, definitely tell them, what would make you happy. We'll probably try to get you more. And then internal recruiters, they usually have a banding they should know, and that should be kind of addressed on the very first call.
So the next question we have coming in here is, in the midst of, does Pipermatics surprise support during negotiations beyond just the compensation issue? What other things should we be asking that it might be a first time job, or it might be a job that haven't gone on a job offer in a while? And what are the things that I might overlook? Will you point them out? Will you kind of advocate? Will you get involved basically?
Yeah, so we get involved from the beginning. So from interview prep. So I spend a lot of time interviewing, prepping my candidates, because, you have a full-time job. It's not your job to interview, but it's my job to help you interview in the best way. So I'll always give interview prep to my candidates just to say, hey, this is who you'll be speaking to. This is a little about what they might ask you. You should really have, a pitch of yourself written down, have questions written down. Don't take it on the subway. Don't take an interview on the subway, in a car. You'd be surprised. And it's funny, the other day I interview prepped a candidate and I said, just take it in a nice quiet room. I let them in on Teams and he was in his car. I was like, people don't listen to me.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then we'll help, I think that candidates should always ask about benefits. Some companies that we work with don't have a 401k, don't match the 401k. And if health insurance is really important to you, I think that you should know those up front before, going through a 3-4 round interview process. Usually companies have benefits guides. I always have benefit guides of, PTO, healthcare, what other benefits they have, I think is very important for people, as opposed to just salary. And then I think I always would recommend, if you want more PTO, ask for it. If a company says, I give 10 days, and that last year you took 12 days PTO and you liked being able to roll 3 over to next year, see if there's flexibility on that. I think the worst that can happen is they say no. And then you're like, is, vacation very important to me? And if it is, good for you. I love a vacation. I'm going on one next month. Those are things that you have to think about.
So that brings us right into the next perfect question. Can you comment on this unlimited PTO trend? Is it real and or necessary to attract applications? I mean, so we've all, is it real? And are companies recognizing that they have to give this unrestricted PTO, and what are the downsides? So where is the industry on this PTO thing?
I would say not the majority of my clients don't have unlimited PTO, and I appreciate it. I think in my first recruitment job, we had unlimited PTO. I was fresh out of college. I was like, this is so exciting. I'm going to vacation all the time. That's not what that means. And I remember one of the directors saying, your first year in recruitment, if you take more than 10 PTO days, you're bad at your job. So my first year, I didn't. I was scared. And I think that it's definitely an HR tactic. I think that, unlimited sounds appealing. But if you're taking like 35, 40 days a year off, are you doing your job? Are you really contributing to the company? I think that PTO within reason should be anywhere from like 4 to 5, 6 weeks. I think that's good. I think when companies have kind of a limit on it, it's great. I think it attracts people. If unlimited PTO is the only reason why you think joining a company is great, maybe you're not the best employee. But then also I think people in HR functions at businesses know that people will get nervous when asking for PTO. Like if they're on day 12 of PTO for the year, are they going to be nervous to ask for another one because they think it's too much? So I think that it's not necessary to attract top talent. No, I think it is geared more towards people that want to go on more vacations. But, we live lives, we work really hard. We should be able to go on vacation without worrying about, is the company not going to pay for me anymore if I have 12 vacation days? So it depends. It really depends on what type of person you are, if you're going to take advantage of it or not. Or there are some clients that will make you feel guilty for it, and it's a reverse psychology tactic. It is what you make of it. But if that's the only great thing they could offer you, that's probably a red flag.
So Sabrina, we're coming close to the final question I have for you. So if I love what you're saying, and I'm listening to this whole webinar, and I'm like, how do I get in touch with Sabrina? How do I get in touch with Pipermatic? I'm not interested in hydrogen storage, but maybe she can put me in touch with one of her colleagues. What's the best way for us to reach out to you?
So I can put my email in the chat, but my email is the best. I would say I always answer my email before I go home. I'm a very zero inbox type of person. And so it would be my last name, Ettinger, at pipermatics.com. And I'll put it in the chat so you can see it. That's great. But that's the best way. I'm on the phone a lot with candidates. So I feel like when people call me, I don't always answer because I'm usually on the phone with a candidate. But yeah, email or LinkedIn, Sabrina Ettinger on LinkedIn. I love a new networking connection as well.
Perfect. And I'm a business owner listening to this thing. And I'm actually in clean energy space, and I don't want to get a lot of resumes from people who are not familiar with the energy space or have no commitment to the what we're trying to do in clean energy. Can I also reach out to you about how Pipermatic can help us?
Yes, we are definitely quality over quantity. So we have some clients tell us that a recruiter sent 15, 20 resumes and no one was right. We'll send, anywhere from 3 to 6 of the best and most motivated candidates that if you were to give them an offer, we're very confident would accept. They obviously are going to meet the technical requirements, but they're going to meet, the cultural requirements. Like if we think that they're going to fit, if we think that they're going to thrive in that environment. A lot of the times we work with candidates that come from really big companies and they are interested in a role, but it's at a startup and they don't know if it's for them, or relocating. So we want to cover all of that before we even send our clients resumes. So reach out to me for that as well. I'm definitely happy to give you the Pipermatics pitch.
And you're really focusing on the diversity, the DEI, diversity, exclusion, and inclusion. We're also at NEWIEE. This is one of our major goals this year, is to really provide people of color opportunities, especially in the energy industry. I don't know if you have any statistics to share with us about the people that are, you know, we talked about, you said like it's 20% women. What about the DEI part? Is that even lower than women coming in this industry?
That's about 8%.
That's,
So yeah, it's
we
crazy.
have a lot of place to grow.
We have so much room to grow, and that's what we're here for. We take it really, you know, seriously at Pipermatics. And, you know, in the 70s, women made up 38% of all US workers and 8% were STEM workers. And then 2019, we grew, 40% of women are in the workforce and 27 are STEM, which is great, but it needs to be way more equal. It needs to be more balanced. And, you know, it's better when you're surrounded by, you know, diversity and inclusion. You know, you don't want to sit in a room with people identical to you. That's nowhere to grow, and it's not a fun environment. And it's always good to be challenged by different types of people. And I think it's so important. I think what's also important for us to do, and you know, clients not asking just for women or just for people of a diverse background. We want a fair recruitment area. But I think that one thing that we do sometimes is anonymizing resumes for clients, so that they don't see the name, they don't see the gender, and they really want to hire the best. And I think it's really important to do.
I think so too. That is great.
There are some gender biases still, and they don't think that they have it, but they do. So it's so
it's subconscious. Absolutely. Well, we're coming up to our close, and I have one important question that anybody who's listened to our AMA series knows that, can you think of a time that someone gave you a piece of professional or personal advice? What was it? Did you follow it? And if so, what was the outcome? And if you didn't, why didn't you?
I think that all of my life, and so this is definitely more personal than professional, but my mom always told me that my nanny would say it's the sleep before midnight that counts. And I obviously never listened to that advice in high school or college, of course, because why would I? But now that I'm a working woman, I know how accurate it is. And if you're able to get in the hours of sleep, you're going to be way more productive. You're going to be a happier person. And I think that sleep is one of, if not the most important part of someone's health. And you know, if I'm trying to go to bed and I'm on my phone at 11:30 at night, that's what I think about, to then shut my phone off. I'm like, okay, I need to go to bed, because it really is the sleep before midnight that counts. And if you're awake, then you're happy and you get a lot more done than if you've spent all night, you know, watching TV, even working. You don't need to pull all-nighters. Sleep and you'll be way more productive during the day.
Well, that is great advice. And I can't thank you enough, Sabrina. This has been awesome. I love the exchange. Thank you all the participants who joined us today. Our next event is not until June 8th. We'll be sending out, look on the website, look for in our newsletter, we'll be announcing. Please, this is recorded, so pass this around to other friends and stuff. I think you gave us excellent insight. What are the opportunities do you have to get someone that you can find out all the tricks of the trade, all the insight regarding this critical thing, which you said, sleep before midnight, because we spend a lot of time on our jobs. So let's enjoy it. I've enjoyed this hour that we've had together, and I can't thank you enough, Sabrina, for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, everyone.
April 26th, we're getting you up here, April 28th for the gala. And then you guys can come and ask Sabrina your questions directly. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.